I think Wemby's the new logo of the NBA.
You okay? Interesting. Okay.
Like, and everyone's like, oh, like today's people, what's the logo? It's Jerry West, people. That he was the logo.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Jerry West was one of the, if not the greatest NBA player of all time. Welcome to episode 319 of Empty the Bench here on the Empty the Bench Network. He's Zain, Bando. I'm Nick Morgasen. Follow us on social media at ETB Sports, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at ETB Sports. Follow the Empty the Bench Network at ETB Network, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Make sure to follow our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB Network. Like and subscribe. We are over 1,100 subscribers, so please go over to our YouTube channel and check us out, whether it's this show or our other shows. And we have a bunch of live content as our network starts to kind of transition from the record to the live programming channel basis. For the time being, at least for this episode, listen to Empty the Bench wherever you get your podcast, whatever is left. We'll talk about that, why I'm saying that at the end of the episode, because there is some change coming when it comes to how this show and a few other shows are going to be presented, but we'll get to that later. But we got a great show. But number one, Zan, how we doing?
Good. I'm just grateful that the weather here is finally getting warm. It's very, very closer to summer. The Cubs aren't very good, which we'll get to in a little bit. But yeah, things really, I can't complain. It was a chill weekend. This past weekend, it was fun, but I know that as the summer gets closer, it's going to get busier, and yeah, things are good. I'm just really excited. I'm gearing up for obviously everything we're doing here, all the stuff that I'm doing outside of here, and getting really excited for a upcoming vacation. It's my first non-work vacation in a while, so looking forward to the next couple weeks ahead, and hope you're doing well too. I know there's a lot to discuss today, so yeah, always a pleasure.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. Like you said, the Cubs are in losing streak hell. We'll get to that a little bit later. Knicks sweep the Cavs 4-0, making the NBA Finals for the first time since 1999.
The year I was born.
Holy crap, I feel old now.
Yes.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Spurs versus Thunder. That series is still going on. That what did I say to you at the beginning of the playoffs? That's going to feel like the NBA Finals.
Yeah, well, you said two things. You said number one, it was the de facto NBA Finals, and the second thing you said was it would be highly, highly unlikely for that series not to go 7 games, and
And
it's slowly but surely looking like it.
I think we're heading that direction. Also, we'll talk about Kenny Atkinson being completely delusional when it comes to winning games on paper, which I'm sure, like you, that makes you laugh, and that makes me laugh when people say we won games on paper when the scoreboard told you otherwise.
That sounds like a delusional college football coach's quote, or that even sounds to tease some bad Bears fan memories. That sounds like Mark Trutzman's infamous quote after losing to the Packers, where he goes, we got to go back inside the locker room and figure it out."
I hate that too. Also, some unfortunate news I would say over the last week or two. NASCAR racer Kyle Busch unfortunately passed away from pneumonia that eventually, or unfortunately, transformed into sepsis.
Yeah, yeah, very, very sad. Died way too young, but hey, the way NASCAR honored him though,
They
was
did a good job.
extremely, extremely classy.
Yeah, they did a good job. I kind of was not happy with the fact that it was on Amazon. I wish they had put that on actual TV.
They
But
did honor him at the Indy 500 though, which was cool.
yeah, I did see part of that. But sad story. Also, DraftKings did a no for a period of time after he passed away. I'm trying
Right.
to confirm if they fixed it, but we'll get to that when we get to Kyle Busch. Also, some fight news as well. Floyd Mayweather suing an associate for $175 million fraud scheme. I did not realize $175 million could just get up and fall from the sky and run away.
Well,
Um,
when you're Floyd Mayweather and you have unlimited funds, I guess that's what being someone who's, let's just say, very into themselves and their lavish lifestyle can do, and it can happen to the wrong. Well, I guess not just to the wrong people, but to someone who, let's just say, is very egotistical, which is not really a surprise.
yeah. Also, we'll get into Conor McGregor refusing a new UFC deal. And actually, we have an update on the Wander Franco situation, which is not shocking, but shocking, I guess, at the same time.
Right.
But we have a lot to get to. So let's get into it. Obviously, we're going to lead with the Knicks sweeping the Cavs 4-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals, advancing to the NBA Finals for the first time since 1999. The Knicks are on an 11-game playoff winning streak right now. They're beating teams by 20 plus points in that streak. The Knicks are playing good ball. The
They're
Cavs and
playing
the
good ball. Not to be that guy, but to me, and I could be wrong in saying this, their path to the finals wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be,
no,
potentially.
you and I are on the same page. That who did they play? They played the Hawks. They
Yeah.
played the Sixers.
And then the Cavs.
And first of all, the Sixers had no business being in the playoffs, really, to be really honest. But it is what it is. And the Knicks almost lost to the Hawks, also, which would have been insane if they went out in that first round. But I did a stream on this the other night, and I was mad because look, the Cavs quit after game one. They quit after they choked a 22-point lead in game one. And would you say that it felt like they just didn't want to show up and like were just non-existent, like they were planning a vacation right after game one?
I mean, I didn't watch every minute of the series, but I did watch most of it, and I will say that their demeanor in specifically games 2 and 3 was very off.
I
It
don't
was
think they
like,
led in either. Well, at least in game two, they didn't lead, and most of game three, they didn't have a lead either, which is amazing to me. And there are reports already after game four, well, after the series ended, that James Harden's going to opt out and re-sign a new deal with the Cavs. Why does James Harden keep getting a chance in this league? I don't understand.
I mean, all you can say really is it's a few reasons. I think number one, it's the name value. Harden's been around a long time, and number two, not to be that guy, and as someone who's a very distant observer of both of these teams, the Cavaliers and the Knicks, when you're trying to build stars, I feel like you need a bit of a veteran presence. And the Cavaliers more than likely think, okay, if we can get James Harden back, that does well for our bottom line. And that's the way they think of it. And it's clear to me that based on Atkinson's comments that there was a disconnect between the team and the head coach, and that's not a good look. That's a terrible look.
I mean, I don't know. You said you watched most of the series. The ball was going through James Harden, not Donovan Mitchell, which made no sense to me.
That's what I'm saying, and I'm sure Donovan Mitchell regrets being there now based on the situation he was in just 3 years ago.
I don't know. I mean, the Knicks were desperately trying to trade for him. Now, if the Knicks have Donovan Mitchell, this is the whole what if game, which I don't like. I don't if the ifs, ands, or buts type of game. Would the Knicks be the same team with Donovan Mitchell the way they are now?
I'm going to counter you and ask you this: you're more of an NBA guy. Do you think if Donovan Mitchell is on this Knicks team that they sweep Cleveland, or do you think the series is somewhat competitive?
Well, if the Cavs don't have Donovan Mitchell, I don't even know if they make the playoffs.
Oh, and I'm saying, do you think the Knicks are still playing for an NBA Finals berth if they have Mitchell, though?
It's tough to say because again, if they had Donovan Mitchell, would the team be structured differently the way it's playing now? Would Karl Anthony Towns be used the same way if Donovan Mitchell is on this team? So that it's tough to say whether they'd be playing for an NBA Finals right now, but the Cavs would definitely not be in the playoffs if they didn't have Donovan Mitchell. And
And you're almost certain of that because why? Do they just not have a good enough supporting cast, or what do you think of
well,
that?
because they still would have had Darius Garland, who was really not working out for them. That's why they traded Garland to the Clippers for James Harden, because
Okay.
there was a whole disgruntled movement, if you remember, in Cleveland when they were trying to figure out who's going to be the guy between Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, and Garland didn't like the fact that Mitchell was the guy, and that led to a whole scenario of why they had to trade him. But James Harden cannot be a leader. James Harden is one of the worst playoff uh playoff guys ever. He's tied or tied for the second most playoff wins. I saw this the other day. 98 victories. 98 wins in the playoffs and without a championship. Okay? How can you have that many wins and not win a title?
Not to be that guy whatsoever, but to me, it feels like the NFL comparison of like a Jim Kelly, a little bit where you go to the Super Bowl multiple times and you can't win the big game. Almost feels like Harden is sort of in that similar conundrum a little bit.
And that's why I don't understand why teams keep giving him a chance. When he was at the Rockets, they made the playoffs constantly, but his playoff performances were ass. Big time. He couldn't perform. He still couldn't perform. In game 4, I think he went 2 of 8 and 0 of 6 from 3.
Yeah, you can't win.
So teams keep throwing millions of dollars at this guy, and he can't win. I'll give you another comparison. Think of Kirk Cousins in the NFL.
Yeah, no kidding.
How many times do teams keep giving him fully guaranteed contracts and then he gets hurt or can't perform in the playoffs
Right.
whatsoever?
And even that one year that he had with Minnesota where they made it to the NFC Championship and they lost to the Eagles, right? And he just, I don't know if you remember the game, but he just didn't show up. The Eagles defense ate that Minnesota team alive. That's the year they lost the Super Bowl to the Chiefs, and the Vikings were that Cinderella story that beat the Saints the week before on that Viking miracle pass to Stephon Diggs, and it was this whole big story, and then they imploded the very next week.
I mean, speaking of Kirk Cousins.
Like that! You like that! You like that!
Oh, yes. Thank you, Kirk Cousins. We know. But I don't know. The Knicks were never going to lose this series. Now, some people at this network misinterpreted something I said, saying that I said it would be laughable if the Knicks won this series. I never said it would be laughable if the Knicks won this series. I thought the Cavs were a much better team, but they proved to be an embarrassment and could not get it together. Kenny Atkinson is delusional. The head
Were you
coach
just
of the
trying
Cavs.
to say that overall the series is laughable and and not that the Knicks couldn't dominate the way that they did? Because I
I
do think it was misinterpreted a little bit. So I'm just trying to clarify what you mean.
what I was trying to say is that I thought the Cavs had a much better chance than getting swept. In my wildest dreams, I didn't think the Cavs were going to get swept by the Knicks. I thought this was going to be a competitive series and go 6 games. I really did. But for the Cavs not to win one freaking game in this series, and excuse me, the other thing that annoyed me too. Did you see what Dan Gilbert, the Cavs owners did during this series?
Not specifically, no. I just saw the tweet afterward when they lost the series, but nothing crazy. You can be more specific if you want.
So what happened? They would not sell seats to people with New York billing addresses.
Yeah, that sounds exactly like what the Nashville Predators used to do when the Blackhawks would play them.
I think
They
that
did the same thing.
it's such a disgusting practice in at least for my regard. I think it's a terrible why not? So you're basically turning revenue away because you don't want opposing fans in your own building.
It's dumb. It's happening more in professional sports than ever before. And I'll give you the Cliff Notes example. But we were talking off the air, and I gave you the example. Dana White, who's a Boston Celtics fan, being denied access to a premium VIP hospitality suite because he wasn't
Because he was
wearing
wearing a
Warriors
hoodie.
gear. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I
It's
don't
dumb.
understand. I get it. I know you want as many of your own home fans at your arena, at your field, whatever. But I don't know if you saw the headline after game or before game 4 happened. Fat Joe, the rapper,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
was on the ESPN set, and he claimed that he had front or what do they call it? Courtside.
Seats.
That's it. Courtside seats, and he had them, and then the Cavs took them away.
Yeah.
Do you remember why?
Yeah, because he was wearing Knicks paraphernalia.
Well, it wasn't only that, but apparently, according to Dan Gilbert, if you try to sell your courtside seats, you are banned for the future of ever having courtside seats.
Well, to be fair, though, does Dan Gilbert kind of have a point? Because
No,
courtside seats come at a premium.
no. What happens if you can't make the game and you need to sell the seats?
Well, yeah, there is also that part. I wasn't fully thinking about that. That sort of now makes sense. Okay.
Because there were people on social media who said that they had seats they couldn't make the game, and they were told if they sold their seats that they are banned from the future from ever buying a courtside seat.
Even just random people that were non-celebrities too?
Yeah.
That's even worse.
I'm assuming Fat Joe probably got the seats from somebody. I'm going to take a guess.
I'm sure it's probably a friend or maybe a management company or something like that. I'm sure he's not frantically looking for tickets because of who he is, and when you're someone of that stature, you usually have things like that taken care of. You know what I mean. So,
but what kind of practice is that? So if you can't go to a game and you want to sell your seats, you get banned. And so I found the policy because I was looking for it.
that is so dumb.
So the Cleveland Cavaliers strictly limit courtside ticket resales, requiring season ticket holders and single game buyers to sign agreements prohibiting the unauthorized resale or transfer of these premium seats. So you can't even transfer the seats.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, to not peel back too many of the weeds, but as someone who's a partial holder for the Cubs, I had also signed an agreement, but it was nothing as egregious as what you just read. They actually, in fact, encourage holders that can't make it to Wrigley Field to sell as many tickets as they want. So it's very, very interesting.
So I found the story on Bleacher Report. So Fat Joe and 10 plus Knicks fans banned from courtside at Cavs playoff game relocated to new seats. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Although, as messed up as it sounds, that sounds exactly like what they did, because they showed him on TV. They showed him along with Spike Lee and all of them.
Oh, wait a minute. This, according to Fat Joe, there's a quote here that says they took the tickets away courtside after we purchased it.
Okay, that's messed up. I think that's grounds for some financial compensation.
I would understand a little bit if it was from somebody else, like if they don't want
But
them.
if he's the direct purchaser, that's even more messed up.
It's a bad practice. And actually, one of my colleagues who I used to work with at the radio station I used to work at and went to school with, Christian Arnold, who now works for the New York Post, claimed that there were 10 plus Knicks fans who had their courtside seats taken away ahead of game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals game. What is this? So now we're going to be biased and only have our own fans be sitting there?
It's stupid. This is why I'm so happy to religiously follow college football or college basketball, because you never see this at the collegiate level.
So,
and I understand college is different, but you would think the standard would be the same across everything. You know what I mean?
But here's the other issue too. She didn't let Fat Joe is a Knicks fan. I know that for a fact.
Mm-hmm.
But you allowed Spike Lee and Timothy Chalamet and Ben Stiller to have courtside seats.
Well, I'm pretty sure, and I could be wrong, I think the Chalamet thing, it was a paid partnership thing. I think he was doing something on behalf of TickPick, if I'm not mistaken, because I saw the collab on Instagram. Yeah, I could be wrong though.
But he's a real Knicks fan though, too.
No, I know.
But why wasn't Spike Lee kicked out from courtside? Why? Because he's the biggest Knicks fan of all time, and he's a Hollywood celebrity.
Yeah, I mean, he probably has some ins that most people don't have. I'm not saying it's right. I'm
But
just
this is
saying
hypocritical because you're not allowing Fat Joe to sit courtside, but you're allowing Spike Lee to?
no, right. That's what I'm saying. If you're gonna let Spike Lee do it, then you should let Fat Joe do it. I'm just saying that potentially, which it hasn't been reported yet, but kind of being in the weeds about some of these things work. Some people have, which I don't think it's right either. It's just the fact of the matter. Some people have more access points than others. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that it wasn't handled right. So I don't know.
According to this report from the Post, it's literally a docu-sign you have to sign
Hmm.
as a season ticket holder or a courtside seat purchaser. I mean, it's my freaking tickets. If I want to sell them, I should be allowed, right?
I agree. And I mean, does it say in there that it doesn't stop you from, trying to sell it, outside the stadium, or is that not allowed?
I don't know. It didn't say anything about that. It just said that you're not allowed to redistribute, which, by the way, you want to know what redistribute means? That means I can't go to a game, so I'll hand it to somebody else so the tickets don't go to waste. You realize that, right?
Yeah.
So I can't hand the tickets to somebody else and say I can't go to a game and I risk the potential of being banned for that?
Well, to not pull back the curtain even further, I mean, I was, and this is a prime example of the hypocrisy. I went to Game 4 of the World Series between the Cubs and the then Indians, now Guardians, at Wrigley Field.
That was a good series.
No, it certainly was. It was the last game the Cubs lost before coming back. My point was somebody else had one of the tickets that I ended up taking. Me and my dad went, and they were more than able and allowed to sell them to us without us getting repercussions. And now something of a similar stature in Eastern Conference Finals Game 4, which I think is on a similar magnitude, just in a different sport, is being treated entirely differently. So I don't get it.
I just think
My
all
point is I went to the World Series and one of the tickets I had was a resale ticket and I was still able to get into the game. So
so I don't get how this is any different. That's why I'm
you
saying
see
it's
what
confusing.
you see what I mean?
Yeah. So long story short, Cavs get embarrassed. Knicks go to the NBA Finals.
And speaking of tickets, those tickets for those two guaranteed home games at
On
Madison Square
TickPick,
Garden are not cheap.
I saw the reports via TickPick already that like one game is $3,500, another one is $3,700. No, thank you.
Yeah, it's unaffordable. But I'll give you this though. Can you believe this? If it goes to a game 6, you might get a World Cup match and the NBA Finals in New York City on the same day.
Which I think is a disaster, if you
No,
ask me.
it's terrible.
I don't know whoever did this. Oh, and by the way, speaking of scheduling, did you see that the Stanley Cup and the NBA final schedules are almost succinct?
Yeah, and did you also see, and not to divert to combat sports, but did you see that if the series goes as far as it would, that
We have
one
the
of the
White House
NBA
card.
Finals games would conflict with Freedom 250 at the
Ugh,
same time?
God. Whoever did the scheduling deserves to be smacked. Like, whoever
Or
just
shouldn't
made the
it
schedule.
be every other where it's a standalone um, game for that night, meaning one night is the finals for
They
the
rotate.
NHL? Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
they usually rotate. So because usually the finals and the Stanley Cup finals usually happen at the same time,
Right,
roughly. So
right.
usually they'll rotate back and forth so one doesn't step on the other's toes.
But it
It-
doesn't seem like this year that's the case, though, right? Or am I wrong in saying that?
no, I think I read, and I'll look this up just to be safe.
The NBA finals begin what, June 3rd, right?
Yes. So the finals begin on June 3rd. They both start on June 3rd.
See, that's messed up. They shouldn't be conflicting on the same night. That
That
that doesn't make sense.
that makes
Makes
no
no
sense.
sense. So
But
what? You're gonna take away ratings from one, add ratings to the other, and do the opposite? That seems counterintuitive.
yeah, but here's the other issue you're going to run into also, which is how is ABC or ESPN going to air? Because technically, Disney has the rights to both sports now. So, and if I'm not mistaken, the NBA Finals is exclusively on ABC. So how are you going to air the Stanley Cup Finals unless they're going to be on TNT for the whole?
I'm checking. It would be, let's see. No, this is going to be messed up, Nick. I don't know how they're going to do this because according to my research, it is going to be ESPN having the rights to the Stanley Cup final. Well,
Wait,
unless it's on
the full series?
yeah, ESPN and ABC. Yep. But the big question though is going to be is for this conflict, is one going to be on ESPN and
That's
the
what I
other
was
is going
going
to
to
be on ABC?
So if that's the case, the NBA is going to end up on ABC.
Yeah,
I've,
the entire finals is on ABC for the NBA.
and
Every
that's
single game.
and no offense to hockey, but NBA is going to carry more ratings probably
Oh,
than
for sure. And this is no disrespect, but the markets of the teams who may make the finals don't really move the needle all that well. Like they're good. Like if they get Vegas in there, that's huge. But
yeah, but
outside of that, what I'm saying is they don't move the needle as much as the NBA does.
having the Knicks in the finals, it's automatically the NBA is going to be on ABC, and it's
Oh,
not
for
even
sure.
a
For sure.
question. But whoever made that scheduling disaster, like, needs to be smacked a million times because first of all, do you want NBA fans and NHL fans conflicting over what they can watch?
Right. And I know that they don't care about this because they don't have this promotion anymore. But I mean, are they really like did they do it on purpose where one of the NBA finals games is conflicting with the UFC event?
No, because nobody knew when the White House card was going to be. The NBA Finals dates were set pretty much in advance. We knew them going into the season.
Oh,
That
right. The White House card official date wasn't announced until what, the beginning of the year or something?
right, so that's not on the NBA. That's actually on the UFC for
Right.
putting. Now, who knows if the NBA Finals will make it to June 14th?
Yeah.
Because that would be like Game 5 or Game 6 at
Mm-hmm.
that point.
Mm-hmm.
But it was terrible scheduling in that regard because
Oh, for sure. But here's the crazy counter to this. For YouTube TV, though, it's a steal because now more than ever, people are going to be using that multi-view feature like it's nobody's business.
oh, I could do that too because I have YouTube TV. I could
Mm-hmm.
watch all the games, even though I've because Zan was shocked. I have not used the multi feature yet on
I
my.
was very surprised.
But all right, we got to move on a little bit here. Well, last thing I will say is though on James Harden,
Okay.
everyone keeps saying James Harden's a Hall of Famer. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I never thought he was a Hall of Famer, and I get it. I understand that playoff performances technically don't determine your Hall of Fame status. But James Harden's not a leader. He's a follower. Go ask Kevin Durant. Same thing. And it's ironic that Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden all played on the same team in OKC, and they could never win a title together because those guys couldn't get out of their own way.
Right.
James Harden can't get out of his own way. And with all the stuff he's done off the court, some of the stuff he's done, I just don't think he's a Hall of Famer. And Nick D could throw scoring titles and 10 All-Star games in my face all he wants. The guy is not worthy of being a Hall of Famer because he doesn't act like it. Plain and simple.
Well,
all
I
right.
was just going to say one more thing. I don't think he would be as big as he is without Russell Westbrook.
Well, that too. Russell Westbrook is more of a Hall of Famer to me than James Harden.
I think so too.
Russell Westbrook averaged a triple-double for most of his career. Do you know how hard that is to do? Like, he was the guy that pretty much led that team along with KD. James Harden was kind of like a third wheel, in my opinion. But, all right, look at the other side of the NBA playoffs, the Western Conference side. Spurs versus Thunder. We both pretty much called this. This was the de facto NBA Finals. Now, looking at this series coming in, Spurs won game 1, Thunder won game 2. And then they each split the next 2. So now it's 2-2.
I'm just going to say this as a very, very casual Thunder fan. They're my casual number 2 favorite NBA team. I'm just going to say this now. Victor Wembanyama is maybe the most exciting player I've seen in maybe the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah,
he is must-watch TV. Oh my goodness.
I would
must-watch TV.
This is going to be a bold statement I'm about to make, but I think Wemby's the new logo of the NBA.
Okay? Interesting. Okay.
Like, and everyone's like, oh, like today's people, what's the logo? It's Jerry West, people. That he was the logo.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry West was one of the, if not the greatest NBA player of all time. And
Right.
I think Wemby has a chance to be one of the greatest of all time, even surpassing LeBron James at some point in his career. I think
Interesting. That is a bold statement.
I
That's
think
bold.
I think Wemby has more attributes in his game than LeBron James does. Wemby can dribble, he can shoot threes, he can rebound, he can offensive rebound, he can block. He's had triple doubles with blocks in the season, but you know how hard that is to do.
He doesn't talk trash either.
He doesn't talk trash. Now, I got into a fight with Nick Dion Lounge this past weekend
By
because,
the way, I heard from somebody who's an outsider on the show that you guys debated this for exactly 38 minutes. Is that true?
well, we were debating the playoffs, but I had said, because he kept saying, "Oh, that's a flagrant two that Wemby committed, hitting Nas Reed in the
No
neck."
way. No way. No, it wasn't.
And
No, it wasn't. No way.
if anything, you give it a flagrant one because it was a
That's what I was gonna say. You gotta let some of those things play out.
because
It's a physical series. So what else do you expect? My dad likes to say sometimes when fouls happen and stuff that sometimes natural instinct does take over. I'm not sure if this was one of those cases, but what I am saying is though is sometimes when you have stars like that and it's a star-driven league, which the NBA is, everybody knows this. You got to let some of these things go a little bit. That's my argument.
my point was if you wanted to call it a flagrant one because it was an elbow above the shoulders, that's what a flagrant one usually is, then I would have had no problem with it being a flagrant one. But throwing him out before the half in that series, and you got to let that one go. I understand he's aggressive, and I understand that he's a big guy and he's going to tower over people. But you really think about, since we're comparing LeBron James slightly, because he was big for his time. How many times did LeBron James get fouled and the refs didn't call it?
A
I mean,
lot.
a lot. And that's going to happen to Wemby even more, being a 7'2", 7'3" forward. You realize how many fouls are not going to get called because of his height?
Well, not just that. Think about all the calls that just aren't called, period, regardless of who the major star is, right?
Right, right. But first of all, Wemby makes these crazy shots, which are like he's falling off balance. He's making shots. He's getting rebounds from the foul line. Sometimes this guy is so good. But looking at this series, the Thunder did not look good in game 4. They got their asses handed to them in game 4. I think the Spurs are the better team right now in the series.
They're playing like it. And if
And
I'm a Thunder fan, which I am a little bit, but if I'm a real Thunder fan, meaning a diehard, I'm really, really nervous.
if I was the Thunder right now, and I was a Thunder fan, I'd be nervous too because right now they look a little bit off. There is some injuries. Jalen Williams is injured, their number 2 guy
Which
on the
is
roster.
huge because he's a big production guy to take the pressure off SGA and all that, as you very well know.
Yeah,
So
and if they don't have him, I don't know if they can win this series. I don't know because SGA, don't get me wrong, back-to-back MVP winner, even though I think Wemby deserved more votes and
now
didn't
wait a
get it.
minute, with no J Will, Nick, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but with no J Will, can this even go 7 games, or are you thinking maybe not? Maybe it goes 6.
Without Jay Will, I don't think they win the series.
Okay.
If he's
But
out
but
the
does
rest
it
of the way,
still go the distance though, or no?
no. I
Okay.
I think with the Spurs now the way they look, and Jay Will is day to day, so it's going to be whether he feels up to playing or not. And don't get me wrong, the Spurs have injuries too. Look what happened to Harper early on in the series.
Mhm.
he got hurt. De'Aaron Fox is not 100% healthy either. He
Now
missed.
I have to ask you this, me being a Big Ten guy, do you think Harper's game has translated to the NBA pretty well, or do you think he has more to work on?
Well, he's young. What is it? It's like his second year in the league, I
Mm-hmm.
think.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a great game, but he hurt himself really bad, and I don't know if he came back yet, but um, they need Castle to play well. They need Wemby to continue to put up massive performances, which I think will not be an issue. And by the way, if Wemby's on the final stage, the NBA is going to have a drool bucket waiting because they're going to imagine the amount of
As
promos they're going to
at
put
the
out.
time that we're recording this, Nick, he is healthy enough to play if he wants to play. Harper is.
Okay. So if he plays, Castle plays, if De'Aaron Fox is healthy enough to play, they're going to win that series because Jay Will is not healthy. He's
Okay,
not.
and you're still sticking with the notion, which I am also, that the winner of the series wins the whole thing, right?
Yeah, and I'm getting flack from Knicks fans on our network here saying I'm being a Knicks hater. Which, first of all, I'm a Net fan. I've admitted that 100 million times. I've been a Nets fan all the way back to when they played at the Izod Center. If you
Wow,
remember that.
yeah, of course I do. The UFC used to go there all the time back in the day.
And
Yeah,
actually, I can go a step further. They used to play at Continental Airlines Arena.
yep, the UFC's been there too.
So I've been a Nets fan before it was popular to be a Nets fan in Brooklyn.
So you're talking like the OG 2007, 2008 teams too, right?
I'm talking about Jason Kidd, Richard Jefferson, Vince
Yeah,
Carter, Kenyon
those
Martin.
names.
Yeah, like, so this has nothing to do with Knicks hate, okay? Do I want to see the Knicks win? No, because I'm a Net fan.
No,
But
you're a Net fan. It's a rivalry. It would be like me rooting for the Packers to win the Super Bowl. I don't want to see that.
but I have to be logical in the sense, and I said it on the stream after game 4 that they did what they had to do to win that series. But you said it well before that they haven't been challenged at all. The Knicks have not been challenged so far. The Thunder have been challenged slightly, even though they swept the first two. The Spurs have been challenged
And
because
and
they
it was awfully similar to me, if you recall, in January when I said with confidence and with no bias whatsoever that the Rams were going to beat the Bears, and they did.
right. So there's that, and I think the Spurs are going to come out of this series as winners just because Jalen Williams is going to be the factor why they don't win this series. And with Wemby, I don't know how the Knicks are going to stop Wemby.
I
If
don't
that's
think they can. He's a beast. I don't
if,
think they can.
and
I
if I were,
think he could score 41 by himself, and they will have no problems.
I think the Spurs might go double big, possibly like with Luke Cornett and just outsize
I mean,
the
shoot,
Knicks.
Nick, they might win if they play the Knicks. They might win that series in 5 games. It's that's how good San Antonio's playing right now. I would be very surprised if that made it to a game 6.
Yeah, that's a good point. I forgot to go back to this before, but I'll bring this up now. But Kenny Atkinson being delusional, and you and I were having a good laugh about this. So I found the New York Post piece
Yeah, I was
where
gonna say, Nick, it's more you than me. I just know when bad coach speak exists, and that's exactly what he's doing. So
so just so it says the Cavaliers head coach tried to put a positive spin on. Well, this is when they were in an 0-3 hole, but Atkinson went further and tried to blame the analytics. We've had such success against this team before. We've had really good moments in this series, up 20 points in game 1, even in game 2.
you're
Take
up
that
you're up 20 and you can't close it out. You
right,
don't you don't need analytics to explain that you have to keep a 20-point lead. There's no excuses. You're
right.
up 20, you're up 20 on the road. Madison Square Garden is as quiet as a ghost town, and all of a sudden you just implode.
Well, right. And then he goes on to say, even in game 2, take the run out for the beginning of the third quarter, and it's pretty tight. I think analytically, I think we've won. I said 3 out of 3.
Wow. Well, you may not know who this is, Nick, but there used to be a very infamous Illinois coach, and I'm going to get scrutinized for saying this guy's name. Literally, what Kenny Atkinson just did is he just pulled a Tim Beckman. Every single time Illinois would lose, he would say, "Yeah, you take away the 17 points in the first half, and it's a 3-point ball game."
Excuse me. I think Kenny Atkinson is delusional. I think he's out of his rocker. And I think the Cavs need to fire Kenny Atkinson.
Well, that certainly is a bold take.
Well, if you're going to tell the media that you won 3 out of 3 or 2 out of 3 games on paper, no one cares about winning games on paper.
Right.
Because
hence the word paper.
Do you remember when the Warriors were on their massive run where they won, 3 in 5 years or something like that? Everyone said on paper, the Warriors are going to win the title. Can you imagine if we took it on paper that the Warriors won the title? All right, let's not have an NBA season. We'll just hand the Warriors the title. You wouldn't do that, right?
That would be like saying that with the Bulls without Jordan, we're still going to contend for the NBA Finals when they didn't during the year he didn't play for them.
Talk about delusional takes if that ever came out.
No, right.
James Harden also came out after Game 4 and said, "Oh, we were the better team. I felt we were the better team."
Wow, man.
Like, is this like Kenny Atkinson just rubbing off on the players?
I don't know. It certainly sounds that way. I mean, scoreboard says that you guys got swept. So,
yeah. So the quote was from James Harden: genuinely, I do feel like we are the better team. Were you? Were you the better team? Because I think you got swept.
I don't know about that. You guys got swept, and you guys surrendered a Game 1 double-digit lead on the road.
And not only a double-digit lead, but 22 points. Like, so I don't know what. Maybe there's something in the drinking water in Cleveland that we don't know about that is causing a senileness or delusionalness.
I don't know, man. It's very interesting.
But I don't know. I actually happen to like Kenny Atkinson because he was my coach in Brooklyn for a period of time. People forget that he was the head coach of Brooklyn before he took the job in Cleveland. But it is what it is. By the way, I have to talk about this because I just came across something that might be interesting for Cleveland. By the way, there's reports out that LeBron James is reportedly not prepared to take a pay cut to return to the Cavaliers. Also, what do you make of that? Do you believe that?
I don't know if I believe it. This is just another day in the LeBron saga. I mean, everybody's going to have an opinion, right? So,
First
I don't
of
know.
all, does LeBron really need the money?
No, he's LeBron, man. No. This is the last thing he wants to worry about. At least in my opinion. I don't know him from an inside circle standpoint. But given what he's done in his career, how long he's been in the NBA, he doesn't need to do this.
Speaking of delusional. But all right. Speaking of delusional, Chicago Cubs, with their losing streak, I think they're up to 9 in a row now.
9 losses in a row. Yep.
I don't know. Ever since that whole incident with Pete Crow Armstrong and the fan, I think this was when they were playing the White Sox, the All Chicago series.
Yes, correct. Yep.
And there's a problem I have because people are just only looking at the Pete Crow Armstrong story from one point of view. And I've had this issue, at least what I've thought of, with fans in stadiums, arenas forever. And I think there needs to be a rule that if you scream something derogatory at a player, then the player should be allowed to scream back.
You think so?
I'm not saying they should scream a derogatory phrase back, but they should be allowed to either say F off or whatever.
Well, isn't F off though considered derogatory though?
In today's day and age, is that considered derogatory? No. Some of the disgusting stuff we hear come out of athletes' mouths, yes. But if they say something to you, you should be allowed to say something back. And I'm not saying you should cause a fight. There should be no physical violence or any of that nature. But it's not fair that fans can scream and yell derogatory stuff at these guys who are playing and that the players can't defend themselves.
Right.
I mean, what would you do in that scenario?
I mean, if I was an athlete, I would do something totally different, and I would say one little rebuttal and then take the high road. I mean, at the end of the day, when we really think about this, what she said to him or didn't say, however you want to categorize it, shouldn't matter to PCA as much as it did, in my opinion, because at the end of the day, he's in the position of being a high profile athlete and she's a fan. So, therefore, for the fan to even criticize the athlete, to me, when they don't even know what the athletes go through on a day to day basis, I think is a little bit out of bounds.
Well, but that's why I'm saying he should be allowed to defend himself. Like everyone's saying, "Oh well, yeah, it's his
He
fault."
shouldn't have said what he said, which I won't repeat on here.
Right?
But
It was bad.
that still doesn't change the fact that he's the athlete and she's the spectator. So
Well,
therefore,
it,
and to be fair, he should be used to hearing that kind of rhetoric because obviously people that don't support the team you're on are going to say really nasty things, and it's horrible. It shouldn't happen. It's gotten way worse over the last 10 years in this culture of of not misogynistic culture, but more so in the gambling crazed culture. It's gotten a lot worse, but still, that doesn't exclude the fact that at the very least he should say whatever he wants to say in a little bit of a more professional manner and then just go about his business. Or honestly, he would have been better off just saying nothing at all and it would have been a non-story.
yeah, but there's a code of conduct for fans, right? When you buy a ticket to a sporting event,
Well,
that
that part is true though. But do we really think you suck though goes against the code of conduct instead of like something that was even way worse than
I'm
that?
not saying it's against that. It's well, technically, it is a code of conduct breach because you're not. They say you're not supposed to scream at the players or whatever or say things, but at the same time, the player has to be allowed to defend themselves if they're being called names
I
or
agree. I would say in a nutshell that both are wrong, and even worse, the woman was technically wrong too because she ran to yell that to him. That technically, if you watch the full video, that technically wasn't even her seat to begin with. She ran over to say that to him, which should have been a complete no to begin with. You can't do that.
and that's why I'm saying everyone's only looking at it from Pete Crow Armstrong's standpoint and not the fan. The fan was just as wrong as PCA was for yelling back at
Oh,
the
both
fan.
are both are wrong in my opinion.
Now, could PCA be like you said? You don't know what's going on, but they've lost 9 in a row. They're frustrated as heck. They can't win a game.
Nick, they're not just frustrated as heck. I was there on Saturday and they were booed off the field on Saturday.
No, but I'm saying these guys are frustrated because they're in the middle of a 9-game losing streak. Nothing's going right. And a fan gets under his skin
Right
because,
before the losing streak and it causes the bottle effect, right?
right. So that's why I'm saying, like, fans sometimes are not the smartest people
No, they're not.
and they do things that they shouldn't get away with. Like, not that this is the same exact example, but do you remember I think it was the World Series, the Yankees Dodgers, the fan that got banned after he held Mookie Betts' arm against the right field wall at
Oh,
Yankee Stadium?
that was absurd.
And the fans were laughing about it after the whole incident happened.
Which
Like,
which he should have been banned. You can't physically make contact with a player.
I think he did. They ended up getting banned, but
No. I'm saying that that's he should know better to not make physical contact with a player. Is my point.
that's what I'm saying. Like, fans don't think. The one that stands out to me, and we'll move on because we got a lot of other stuff to get to. During COVID, do you remember Russell Westbrook was getting popcorn thrown at him
Oh yeah, I remember that.
or the water bottle? Someone threw a water bottle from the stands, and he said after the game, "Look, like that person wouldn't have the balls to do that to me on the street,
Oh
throw
no,
something at me."
no, and it's happened. I mean, if you go on YouTube anytime and you pull up a compilation of people yelling things at players, it's horrible. Some of the things they say.
I mean, the one, and this is going back a ways. Do you remember a player named Milton Bradley?
Yeah, well, to be fair, I remember exactly where I was during this incident, but I'll let you talk about it.
I think he was on the Dodgers at the time when the incident happened in the down the right field line when somebody threw something at him and then he picked the beer bottle up and threw it back down and almost broke it near where the fan was.
Well, there was that incident, which I don't remember, but there was the other incident where he was on the Cubs and they were terrible. And instead of catching a routine ball, he grabs it and he throws into the stands.
Yeah, I remember that one too. But the thing is, people only see that because they're the public. What do they call it?
Figure.
Public figure. So they only see that, but they don't see what the fans do at all. Oh, well, he's a public figure. He should know better. So are you saying that if they get called a derogatory name or they get thrown something at somebody, they shouldn't react? Is that the point we've gotten to?
Which to me they should. There's just a certain way they should, meaning the public figure should go about reacting. Now, another one that was a bad example was, do you remember James Franklin's incident with the fan at the spring game?
Kind of.
Well, he threatened to take it out on the street, and that if he really wanted to,
Yes.
he could knock the guy out.
Yes. Now, on the street, I guess is technically fair game if it's not inside a stadium. I'm not condoning it. Let me be very clear about that.
Oh, right.
But if they're on the street and they get something yelled at them or thrown at them, you kind of deserve what comes to you after that.
Oh,
You know what
meaning on the other person's side, you mean, right?
Yeah. If they do something to an athlete, like if they're on the street, and I'm not condoning this, but let me be very clear about
Yeah,
this.
do not do this and don't get assault charges or
Yeah.
anything like that.
But
Yeah.
if you're a random person walking down the street and you see an athlete and you throw something at them or you say something derogatory to them, what do you think they're going to do?
They're going to retaliate.
I mean, they might not, because what's the rule of thumb when you're a public figure and you're walking around? There's always a camera,
Well, right. There's always a camera and you should always protect yourself.
but on the street is technically fair game.
Right.
And again, not condoning the behavior. Don't get an assault charge. I'm begging you, don't get an assault charge.
do that. Don't do that.
But it is what it is. I don't know. Chicago, they got some shit to figure out.
No,
If
they
they're-
do. They have a long road trip this week and early next week, so they got to figure it out. Some tough road trips too. So
That's not a good
we'll see.
formula. Going on a long road trip on a long losing streak, by the
yeah,
way.
it starts with Pittsburgh and I think it continues with St. Louis. It's not great. Yeah.
But all right,
So-
let's move on. We got some other stuff. Unfortunate news, which the network hasn't really had a chance to talk about yet. But rest in peace, Kyle Busch, 41 years old. Unfortunately passed away from pneumonia, which led to sepsis.
It's awful. Absolutely tragic.
And I have to look up. I have the story actually here that he was at the racetrack. I think at Charlotte. I think it was the race in Charlotte.
Yeah, about a week ago. Like not this past weekend, but the weekend before. Yep.
And he was at the track. I think they said at one point he was coughing up blood. I think they said at one point.
Yeah,
when he
I
was at
think
the
so.
track.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
And he went to a track doctor, because all these sports have to have medical eval, just in case. Then they ended up taking him to the hospital. Unfortunately, he passed away. And you know what? They did a good job of the tributes. I saw some of them come in via social media. 41 years old, man, is young today. Like, to be passing away. I know he has at least one kid, his wife and one kid. I don't know, man. I was never the biggest NASCAR fan, but I knew Kyle Busch. I knew who Kyle Busch was. I knew who a lot of racers, a lot of NASCAR drivers were. But what I'm not understanding is why they didn't get him medical help faster.
Yeah, that I don't understand, number one. And number two, the amount of information that we didn't know leading up to his death, like during the week when he was in the hospital, was very interesting. Wouldn't you agree with that? It seemed
Yeah.
like it was very much like people were kind of caught in the dark when he passed away. If you get what I mean, if you weren't directly there to see all the events unfold, which I'm sure were very tragic.
And yeah, tough situation. I want to address one thing with this scenario too, and it looks like, because I just looked it up, that they did update this since we last I brought this story to your attention. So originally, because you can make bets on any sporting event today whatsoever, and that includes NASCAR. Originally, if you had a bet on Kyle Busch to win the race in Charlotte, obviously that couldn't happen anymore because he passed away. DraftKings originally considered that bet a loss originally. And I said to myself, what the fuck are you talking about? Originally calling that a loss, right? And their excuse was that because they didn't remove his number 7 car from the race and they had another person take the car, that's a substitution. It's not a removal from the race
Yeah,
originally.
that's messed up. Well, at the time, though, well, to be fair, it's fixed now, but at the time, they probably didn't know he was going to die, though, right?
Well, he passed away before the race even took place.
Oh, right. So, are you saying for the future bets? You mean like even before, or
Well,
they were still posted?
yeah, people. So someone posted a screenshot and it said "lost" next to the bet slip for
Oh,
Kyle Busch,
that's even worse. Okay, I
and
got it
I
now.
was like, "Holy shit! What the hell are you talking about, DraftKings? Like, are you kidding me? That the guy died before the race, and you were going to take people's money because it was deemed a substitution of the car?" And so I just found from DraftKings support, they had tweeted out, we understand that this is a sensitive situation and appreciate everyone's patience. Cash credit refunds will be issued to all customers with impacted losing wagers. Credits will begin landing in accounts over the next 24 to 48 hours. Why did it have to get to that point?
Yeah, it should have just been handled just automatically.
Because it sounded like DraftKings was going to take people's money.
I know it's very suspicious.
Now, you said it before, and I thought it was very accurate. Like, people are crazy when it comes to sports wagering and betting.
It's true.
But do you realize how much of a riot would have happened if DraftKings kept the money?
Oh,
Saying,
it would have been a disaster. It would have been the biggest probe in I don't know how long. It would have been a mess.
and that's going along with that stupid brand risk card, which they're now investigating for fraud. Like, so
Yeah,
there's,
for in the Ray J Super Hot Fire matchup. Yep.
but I get it. Gambling is tough. I get it. Running the business is hard, but the guy freaking dies before the race, and you were going to keep the betting money because you deemed it a substitution for his number 7 car. In my opinion, they should have removed his car
Yes.
after he passed away.
Yes, exactly.
And I was reading the story also that apparently on lap 8 of the Coca-Cola 600, it sounds like they did they did a moment of silence at lap 8.
They did. That's correct. Yep.
Did they stop the race though, or did they just?
No,
Did,
they did a pit stop moment of silence.
did everyone have to pull in to pit?
Yeah, but it was more of like an honorary thing though, and then the race continued. Yeah.
But I'm saying so they technically stopped
Mm-hmm.
for okay.
Yep.
So I was gonna say if they didn't stop, that would have been weird.
No, they did. They did. It was a ceremonious stoppage.
Yeah, I feel bad for his wife Samantha.
And his kids. Oh my goodness. They're so
Brexton,
young too.
and who's 11, and Lennox who's 4. He's got 2 kids that are under teenage
Yeah,
years.
that's tragic.
So I feel bad for the family. NASCAR did a really good job with the tributes before the race and during it. I don't know what else to really say. Is there anything else to say about it?
I mean, he's a NASCAR legend. He was a likable guy. Passed away way too young, but certainly a racing icon. And I thought and then we'll just end this on this because we have a few more topics to finish. I thought this was going to derail the morale of the Indy 500, but it seems like everybody was able to come together, still complete the race. The race had a wild ending. I don't know if you saw it, and still pay a tribute to this guy, which I thought was very interesting because there was rumblings on social media that this race was going to be off the rails, and it ended up being peaceful and ceremonious.
Yeah, they did a really good job. Just going through some of his highlights. He won the Cup Series in 2015 and 2019 with Joe Gibbs Racing. He has 234 total NASCAR national wins. 63 wins for the Cup Series, ranked 9th of all time. 102 wins in the Xfinity Series, all-time record. Truck Series, 69 wins, all-time record. And he held a remarkable record of 19 consecutive seasons with at least one Cup Series victory from 2005 to 2023. So
Yep.
if that doesn't scream consistency,
Sounds like a Hall of Fame pedigree to me.
and he also had a historic sweep. Only driver to win all 3 National Series races on the same weekend for Bristol Motor Speedway. So incredible career. Rest in peace to Kyle Busch. Feel bad for his family, and hopefully things will get better. All right. Into the fighting space we go. This story just I can you help me here? I don't even know where to go with this story whatsoever.
I mean, it's Floyd Mayweather being Floyd Mayweather, I guess. And
But apparently it wasn't him though, technically.
no, right, because he didn't know where the money went, allegedly.
Didn't know where it went.
That's the part that I have with that's the issue that I have with this. I mean, there's not much more to say than he's in the headlines again. He has a pending boxing match with Manny Pacquiao, which is a rematch that nobody asked for. I feel like this is just being used as a distraction. That's what I think. As much as you want to criticize or praise what he's done in boxing or not, I mean, this is just another saga. There's really not much other to say than he and his people are making themselves look bad.
Did you see also that allegedly, reportedly, he has to pay another woman also, supposedly?
Yeah, that sounds like Floyd Mayweather, to be honest with you. Not to get into it too deep, but given all the issues he's had with, I guess, marital affairs or means, if you will.
Also, he's
It's
a
not,
degenerate gambler too, right?
yeah, it's really disturbing.
Like the
Yep,
amount of money that he bets on stuff is crazy, but he wins. That's what's the crazy part about it.
I know.
He kind of reminds me, I don't know, would you say he's worse than Portnoy or better than Portnoy?
No, he's better than Portnoy because Mayweather is actually transparent and he'll post when he loses sometimes.
Hey, that's right. Dave sometimes doesn't always post when he loses, but I don't know. Does Mayweather? I know Dave will post the slips, which you're technically not supposed to do when you make bets that big. Um, but I don't know. Floyd really doesn't even need this fight.
No,
But
neither does Pacquiao.
I wouldn't even call this a fight. I'd call it a spectacle or a.
It is. It'll feel like a glorified exhibition, even though it's not. It's
I
actually
mean,
a sanctioned fight.
you know what I would call this?
Clown show! Clown show! Clown show! Clown show!
That's what I would call it. It's a complete clown show. Whether it's Floyd Mayweather's life or Floyd versus Pacquiao. I mean, it can't be just that one fight. They're gonna have to build it out into something,
Yeah,
aren't they?
they'll have to build an undercard because that's on Netflix. So I wonder how they're going to do it.
Watch, it's gonna be like 17 seconds, just like Rousey Carano is. Like Floyd is just gonna like
No,
punch.
I doubt it. Mayweather is way more conservative than that. He'll probably win a decision just like he did the first time.
He'll just probably end up hugging Pacquiao a million times because that's what
Yeah,
he's so.
that is probably what will happen, or as people like to call it, a defensive masterpiece, which that's another debate in itself. But yeah, you can expect a lot of clinching in that rematch. I'm almost positive.
All
So
right,
we'll see.
I have to ask for a second because we've made that joke for years about Mayweather and hugging. Where did that stupid joke start from?
I have no idea. That's actually a really good question because you have to remember, I'm a newer boxing consumer. I only started following it in 2012, so I don't know his full backstory with the whole clinch thing.
But just to finish this, so ESPN did a really good job of laying out where the $175 million allegedly went. And so listen to this and tell me if you think some of this is wild. So the suit alleges a multitude of issues, including a $12.5 million wire for a 12-month investment on July 1st, 2024 to Frist Apex, where no investment was made and the initial money was never returned. Unauthorized allocations of Mayweather's money to Frist Apex, including $15 million in settlement proceeds from a realty company, a separate loan with over $8.8 million of a $16.4 million loan on 4 of Mayweather's properties was sent to Frist Apex without explanation. Only $2.5 million was given to Mayweather Promotions. That $2.1 million of an $8.2 million refinance of one of Mayweather's Las Vegas properties was sent to Frist Apex. And then there was some other money used for jewelry and property stuff. Holy cow. A text message chain provided in the lawsuit claims one of the jewelers in the $100 million pledge demanded that if he didn't receive a payment, he would start to liquidate the goods. I mean,
Yeah, that's sketchy.
the suit also claims Mayweather signed a bill of sale for his 1996 Gulfstream 4 jet with no purchaser listed.
Which I didn't even know he still owned it. It's interesting.
But part of the story was that apparently someone took his sold his jet or whatever, and I do you get this? Because I don't get this.
No, I don't really get it either. All I know in a nutshell is usually when Floyd Mayweather and money mix in the public eye, it usually isn't a good thing. That's all I know. But speaking of, that's a perfect segue because his former opponent is also in a potential money rut too. Conor McGregor, ahead of his fight with Max Holloway on Saturday, July 11th, is reportedly, according to Ariel Helwani, refusing to sign a new deal with the UFC after his would-be 2-fight stint with the UFC concludes. So it would mean that his fight with Holloway would be 1 fight, and if he were to fight once more, it would be his second and remaining fight on his contract, assuming he doesn't sign a new deal. I can tell you what I think this means, and you can go into what you think this means too. I think what this means is he's betting on himself. He thinks that he has more leverage in the UFC, so he's hoping that, if I beat Max Holloway again, just like I did 13 years ago, I can go back to the table and try to ask for more money.
Oh, I mean, that's clearly where I was going to start. It's clearly money. And of course, some people are going to play dumb, but people are going to be
Make
like,
it make sense to me.
okay, Michael K., I'll make it make sense to you. Conor is going to go out and leverage everything he has because he's Conor McGregor and he's a big name. He can literally go anywhere he wants. And you ready for bold proclamation number 2 I'm going to make right now?
Okay.
Conor McGregor is going to end up with MVP.
See, I disagree with you because I don't think they would let their biggest star walk away, especially if he wins this fight and potentially his next fight is against a big name like Islam Makhachev or Ilia Topuria, where the fight sells a similar amount to the Khabib fight. I don't think they'd walk away from that money easily, which is why I think you're going to see John Jones be in a similar position to where McGregor is now. The difference is they were able to get a deal done with McGregor for this fight as opposed to Jones, who hasn't fought since November of 24. So I think the only way the MVP deal happens is if he literally decides, I can't come to a deal with the UFC, but at this very moment in time, I don't think he's seeing MVP. I think they'd have to hope for a lot to happen in order for that to happen.
Yeah, but if this headline is true that he's refusing to sign a new deal with UFC, if he wanted to stay with the UFC, he would have done it already, in my opinion. He would have found a way to have a deal. Because think about all the guys who have long-term deals. Didn't Pereira have a long-term deal with the UFC?
Well, no, he signed a new contract after he won the light heavyweight title. So I don't think it was long-term until he...
No, but I'm saying the big names have... I think he signed, a 5 or 6 fight deal, if I remember correctly?
I think it's 6, yeah.
So they're locked in long-term. My point is, Conor has 2 fights. Now, the one thing I will say on the UFC's behalf is that obviously Conor was hurt. Conor had some legal issues going on. So that stopped any potential of getting this deal done or finishing off the current 2 fights that were left on the deal. But if he wanted to stay with the UFC, he would have made a deal or extended upon the 2-fight deal he had already had. No?
Well, there's no reason to think he can't still do it if he wins his next fight, though.
I don't think he's gonna get the money he wants.
Interesting. Okay.
Think
Interesting.
about, because what has Dana and the UFC been about lately? They don't wanna pay. They don't wanna pay
Mhm.
the fighters. What this whole equal fight. What was the thing we talked about when the MVP card came up? Francis was not getting paid.
Right.
And Francis was saying that I want healthcare and I want benefits for the fighters. If they're not willing to do that, why would anyone of big substance want to stay with the UFC?
There's several reasons for it, and a lot of it isn't public. But I'm sure some guys think their reputation is going to take a hit if they walk away because they feel like they don't have any bargaining power. So maybe McGregor is one of those guys that sets an example to say, "Hey, I'm the biggest star that MMA has ever had. If I walk away, then other people will too."
Yeah, but if I'm wrong, tell me. But I think that's more the perspective you're thinking of, because UFC was the only, ironically, fight in town that you could be on for a long period of
Well,
time.
you would argue it still kind of is because we don't know if MVP is going to still prove itself. We don't know if this Scott Coker-led promotion is going to work, and we don't know if any of these other promotions that are overseas are going to make the jump to try to expand too. So, in
Yeah, but
fact, I think there's more. There's more out there that we don't know that makes it hard to say that there's more competition right now.
yeah,
I
but
don't.
I would
I don't. I don't know if there is.
But I would say MMA is far more competitive now than it was back when Conor was on top of the world, so to speak, in UFC. UFC was the only fight promotion that mattered, that was at the top of the game.
Well, to be fair though, there was Bellator and PFL, but they weren't pulling the numbers that the UFC was back then.
Uh, Come on, let's be real. UFC was UFC back then. There was nothing beating the UFC whatsoever. If you got into the UFC, you made it in the world of MMA. If you got into UFC, now is that still the case? Sure, UFC will always be at the top. When you see those 3 letters and they slap those 3 letters on the event, UFC, that's always going to be number one. But now that you're starting to see more promotions come up like MVP. Now, I'm not saying MVP is going to be perfect and it's going to work, but if the money is going to be better, then it is standby competition that the UFC is going to have to fight against.
Right, but the big issue that was going to be is if he really does make the pivot, they got to start to bring in names that would make sense for him to fight.
Right, but to that defense, if Conor McGregor goes to MVP, you don't think people are then going to say, "Oh my God, Conor McGregor's over here. We should be here too"?
Oh yeah, for sure. As I was alluding to a minute ago, it would be a domino effect.
Because I'll tell you right now, and I if you remember, I said this when we were talking about the MVP card. If Connor goes to MVP, you don't think they're going to call up Michael Chandler and say, "Let's finish the fight"?
Oh yeah, I mean it just came out. In fact, a couple days ago, according to McGregor's manager, that they wanted the Chandler fight. They were pushing for it to rebook it again, and the UFC said no. So they compromised on Holloway instead.
Wait, so they actually wanted the Chandler fight?
Yeah, McGregor's team wanted it. Reportedly.
This is even defending my point more that Connor should go to MVP, because I will tell you right now, if he goes to MVP, they will call Chandler in 5 seconds as soon as Connor signs a deal with MVP and say, "When do we book this fight?"
You're gonna go and make the prediction and say that those two will fight in MVP if Conor goes to MVP.
100,000% they will fight if Connor ends up with MVP. And I think on top of that, to sweeten that deal, I think they would give Connor a percentage run.
Of the company.
Yeah.
Oh, I think so too. I
Because
think so too.
that would seal the deal. Whatever they're going to pay him, which I think will be way more than what UFC will pay him. I don't know what the average money it was for Connor at UFC. I don't know if you know any of that, but basically MVP will either double or triple whatever the UFC is paid Connor. And
He's made over $39 million in the UFC.
that doesn't include the cross promotion fight, does it?
No, it does not.
I guess because that technically doesn't. Well, because it wasn't a
It was a
UFC fight,
Mayweather Promotions fight.
right? But it was a boxing fight anyway,
Yes,
so that doesn't count as technical UFC money,
correct.
which is stupid. But yeah, 100,000%. If McGregor ends up at MVP, you will see a Conor versus Chandler main event.
Or a Conor versus Diaz main event, right?
Yeah, but they will attack the Conor Chandler first
Okay.
because I think the shot clock, so to speak, is running on that fight.
Now, wait a minute. If they do that fight in MVP, does it rival the numbers for the would-be UFC White House card? Do you think
If they were up against one another,
no, I'm saying, do you think overall, if that fight happens, does it beat the would-be viewership of the Freedom 250 event?
it depends what the rest of the card is.
Oh, so you think it needs to have a solid undercard because people won't just tune in to watch that?
They will, but you would say this about any card. You know this from covering the space forever. You can't just have a main event card and have a bunch of scrubs under it.
No, for sure. I'm just saying from their perspective, though, that's kind of the argument I was making on my show last week is they really need to push for these major free agents. Otherwise, they won't be able to sustain themselves as a number two because they want to be a number two. They know they can be a number two. The question is can they get the names to be a number two?
See,
The only way they can leverage themselves to be number one is if they start making crazy moves.
See, the way I see it, and it's never, again, I don't think it would ever happen, but since MVP likes to go outside the box and think wildly, unlike the UFC, you would want Conor
Or they want
Chandler.
to try to get Jones out of there to put him
Well,
against Ngannou, right?
I was going to say, if you want, since they, if MVP is trying to be different, obviously, because they're going to do, I would do 2 main events instead of 3, though. I think they over pushed it slightly on the first one. I would do 2 main events, Conor Chandler, and I would do Francis and John Jones
On the same card. Oh my goodness.
on the same card. But it would be 2 main fights, not 3. And then the rest would be undercard.
Well, the big question is going to be is would McGregor be okay with being a double main event as opposed to a main event main event?
Okay. First of all, I would treat it the same way as they did with the Rousey Carano card.
You would hope, but you don't know how big McGregor's ego is going to get there.
No. Wait. So what I'm saying is, even though they technically they repped it as 3 main events, the Rousey Carano card was the main event. So you could say there's 10 million main events on one card.
Right. Exactly.
But you would tell Conor and Chandler, you're the one that's the main event.
Right. And you're the one that's going to be at the top of the poster, all the
Yes.
billboards, the whole thing.
Yes. That's the point I'm trying to get at. Jones and Francis, don't get me wrong. Francis could lead a whole card by himself and probably rep it well. But I think that Jones and Francis being the second to last fight and Conor Chandler being the last fight would draw numbers that the UFC would not see.
Right. So you would agree then that if those 2 fights were to happen on a hypothetical MVP card, that it would beat the would-be numbers for the Freedom 250 card.
I don't know about the 250 card. I don't know because there's so many big names on that card. And first of all, Chandler's on that card. So
that's true. It is kind of a double negative. You're not wrong.
So, but if you want to put it up against a numbered card in general, I think that would have a potential to beat a numbered card for the first time.
I think so too.
All right, quickly, because there's one last story, and then we're going to talk about what's happening with the show. Wander Franco. Now, everyone's probably wondering, oh my God, what happened to this guy? We haven't heard his name in years now. So Wander Franco was the shortstop of the Tampa Bay Rays. They had signed him out of arbitration. They bought out his arbitration years. He had like a 13-year deal with the Rays. And then the whole incident happened that he was sexually involved with a 14-year-old. And
yeah, I mean,
Now,
regardless of the age, you shouldn't be doing that stuff.
exactly. But you know how effed up the laws are in the Dominican Republic and how things go. The age and the laws are different.
More effed up just in regards to just the world itself when it comes to this stuff too.
Yeah, their laws are far different than what we have here in the US by
Right.
far. And so we get the report, and I just want to pull up the story really fast just so I have it. So Wander Franco was declared criminally responsible for the sexual and psychological abuse of a minor. But here's the issue: no prison time.
Yeah, that's messed up.
So we'll quickly go through this. So Wander Franco was declared criminally responsible for sexual and psychological abuse of a minor, but will not serve a sentence for it. In the decision, the judge considered that Franco had been the victim of extortion and blackmailed by the minor's mother, which, by the way, she's the one who got the jail time in this case.
Mm.
She was sentenced to 10 years in prison for sexually trafficking her daughter. So, of all that I just said, how do you see this situation?
It's messed up on all fronts. And it's clear, as you were just alluding to a minute ago, that their laws are much different than ours.
But what do you make of him being declared criminally responsible but not getting jail time?
It seems counterintuitive a little bit because you would think that if they were both responsible, they would both get harsh punishments. Right?
And yeah, and here's the weird thing. So he was arrested in 2024 after being accused of having a 4-month relationship with a girl who was 14 at the time and transferring thousands of dollars to her mother to consent to the illegal relationship.
Yeah, that is just, you can't even wrap your brain around that.
I can't at all.
That is just, especially if someone of his stature, though, like, really, man, like, that's what you do to throw away your career and your reputation. And I don't know, man. I don't get it. I don't understand it.
So it says Franco also said he has not contacted the Rays, but that his lawyers had. Are they expecting that he's going to come back to the majors now because of this?
I don't know, man. I don't get it.
You realize how effed up that would be if the Rays took him back in
It'd
the
be
organization?
terrible. It'd be terrible. They'd be the most hated team. Well, one of the most hated teams in the entire league if that were to happen.
Because right now, and people forget this, he's on the restricted list right now for the Tampa Bay Rays.
Mm-hmm.
So, first of all, like you said, when you're criminally charged, usually there's jail time, there's a fine. I've never heard of criminally responsible, but no jail time. Never heard that. Ever. So, this is an odd situation, and something tells me he's going to be back in the majors, and we're all going to hate it. Really.
Yeah, and that might be a good place to cap it because I think the big theme with this week's show is every single story has the same pillar objective, and that's to exhaust yourself saying, what have we come to in the sports world with almost all of these different stories.
Yeah. This is probably the longest episode we've done in a long time.
Correct.
But that'll do it for this show. Make sure you follow the show on social media at ETB Sports, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at ETB Sports. Follow the Empty the Bench Network at ETB Network, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at ETB Network. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB Network, where we're over 1,100 subscribers. Help us to our watch hour goal of 4,000 hours as we continue to grow so we can get our channel monetized and we can do more things for this great network. So please help us there. Also, one last thing, which I said at the beginning of the episode. News starting June 1st, Empty the Bench will be going live with episode 320. Going forward, we will be a live show. Most of the network, I would say about 95% of the network is already live. So
Yeah.
we're going to jump aboard that.
Yeah, in about 10 weeks or so, for those who follow my show will also be transitioning to a live show, but you'll know more about that as episode 100 gets closer. But to wipe the slate clean, beginning June 1st. This show, the flagship show of the network, will be live. So you can readjust your schedule a little bit because the show used to air on Wednesdays and now it's going to air on Mondays live. So
Just
wanted
for
to
yeah,
make
just
the
for
adjustment.
context, we record this show on Monday and it would come out Wednesday. You're now going to get it on the record day, technically
Yep.
now. So Monday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on Mondays, starting next episode 320, we will be live to react to everything. We won't run into the Nick D scenario where, what was it, Hubert Davis?
Or my scenario sometimes with some of my shows where news will break afterward. Sometimes it doesn't happen often, but sometimes it did.
But now we can react to everything in live time with the show.
Yeah.
And what'll be great during the football season is we could do Monday Night Football previews.
Yeah, I was going to say there's going to be a boatload of Monday Night Football previews. That's for sure. There's going to be a lot of them.
So think about it, because like we just brought Moving the Goalposts live early on Thursday. They're going to do a Thursday preview. We're going to do Monday previews. We have a lot of interesting stuff that we're going to do within the live show. So don't miss it. June 1st, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, starting from Mondays. We will be live with the show, so don't miss it. But that'll do it for the show. He's Zain Bando. I'm Nick Morgasen. Last words?
Thanks again for tuning in. Thanks again for tuning in to the taped era, if you will, at least so far. Stay tuned and turn on those post notifications. That way you don't miss the live streams moving forward. Have a great rest of your week. Enjoy the end of your May and enjoy the madness that is to come in the would-be NBA Finals that are coming up in about a week or so, and so much more. And until the live era begins, have a good one, everyone.
Have a good one. We'll catch you live next week. See you then.
Cheers.